Ensho Stable is a sumo wrestling hub in Tokyo, which is known for producing outstanding talent. Hundreds of promising youth flock to this stable each year, hoping they can make it big. However, it is revealed that the place is run on a hierarchical system. The junior wrestlers, like our protagonist, Oze, have to wait for the seniors to finish eating before they can have their meals. One of the seniors is Enga, who often mistreats Oze, and another junior named Shimizu. He is so disgusting that he makes them clean him after using the restroom. Oze always rebels against him, but Shimizu complies without saying a word. He just takes his shit, as it were. Following this, we are shown a flashback which reveals that Oze had a reputation as a gangster. He used to live with his handicapped father and absent-minded mother, both of whom were ridden in debt. But Oze always tried his best to save up some money out of what he made. One day, a debt collector, as usual, arrived at the house to ask for his money. Fed up with the repeated complaints, Oze angrily confronted his mother, only to find her sleeping with another man. This infuriated him so much that he grabbed his mother by her hair and tossed her outside the room. He was about to assault her further, but his father intervened just in time to prevent the altercation. Back in the present, Shimizu is seen cleaning the sumo wrestling ring before the senior wrestlers come for practice. But Oze, who has a negligent attitude, refuses to even follow the customary practice by bowing down to the gods. It is evident that he doesn't give a frick about anything. Shortly after, a journalist named Kunishima and her boss visit the place to observe the wrestlers and their techniques. As the practice gets underway, Kunishima notices Oze's complete lack of interest in the sport. She attempts to enter the ring to click better pictures, but gets reprimanded by the coach and the senior wrestlers, who inform her that women are not allowed inside the ring. Honestly, it's probably for her own safety. Her boss also scolds her for potentially jeopardizing their opportunity to cover the story. Elsewhere, the directors of the National Sumo Association gather to discuss potential promotions for wrestlers based on their achievements. During the discussion, they bring up Oze's misconduct after his victory in a recent tournament. Some members suggest dismissing him for his behavior, but the head of the association decides to give him a stern warning instead. Meanwhile, Kunishima is having a meal at work when her boss and another colleague join her. They talk about the prestigious reputation the Ensho stable once had and wonder if it can regain its fame. Shortly after, one of Kunishima's colleagues approaches her and taunts her for being removed from the news reporting team due to an alleged affair. This provokes her anger, so she slaps him before leaving in a huff. Elsewhere, Shimizu approaches an upset Oze and advises him to practice the Shiko exercise, which can greatly improve his chances of defeating his opponents. He also encourages Oze not to run away from fights, because he possesses great strength, unlike himself. Once again, the scene shifts to a flashback. Ensho, the owner of the stable, invites Oze to have dinner together. While they are at it, he suggests that Oze should become a sumo wrestler, emphasizing the financial benefits, honor, and opportunities with women that the sport can bring. The ladies love a big boy. The latter is a bit skeptical about the idea, so he says he will think about it. But later, when he notices his disabled father working on the street, he quickly decides to accept Ensho's offer and become a sumo wrestler. In the present, a month has already passed, and Oze finally realizes that substantial earnings in sumo wrestling only come with reaching higher ranks. This realization infuriates him, and he confronts Ensho, accusing him of deceiving him into becoming a sumo wrestler under false pretenses. But the latter only tells him to work harder and improve his skills. That night, feeling disheartened, Oze decides to quit and return home. As he prepares to leave with his belongings, Shimizu follows him and asks him to stay. He emphasizes that Oze is meant to be a sumo wrestler, unlike himself, and that he possesses the potential to rise to the top. Reflecting on Shimizu's words throughout the night, Oze ultimately decides to return to the stable. The next morning, we see him alone in the wrestling ring, engaging in the Shiko exercise. In the next scene, a brief flashback shows a young boy named Shizuuchi standing in front of the dead bodies of a woman and a child, holding a knife in his hand and bearing a scar on his face. Elsewhere, we are introduced to Ryuki, a second-generation sumo wrestler who has recently been promoted to the rank of Ozeki. In a press conference, he expresses his determination to surpass his father's legacy and head to the top. Kunishima, who is also present there, steps forward to ask him some questions. She inquires about the violent hazing in many stables and the status of women in in this sport. However, Ryuki avoids answering these questions and abruptly ends the interview. On their way back, Kunishima's boss instructs her to respect the sport boundaries and forces her to apologize to Enga for entering the wrestling ring earlier. Kunishima reluctantly does so, and then starts observing the wrestlers who are practicing in the Shiko exercise. Oze, who's tired of the boring routine, suddenly gets up and demands a fight. As a result, Ensho arranges a match between Oze and a senior wrestler named Enya. Our protagonist prepares him for the fight, realizing that it can either make him or break him. But sadly, he loses in the first few seconds, prompting all the seniors to mock him. The evil Enga takes the hazing to a step further by shoving a ball of mud into Oze's mouth. Joke's on him, mud has many calories. The same afternoon, Oze encounters Shizuuchi, who has now grown up to become a deadly sumo wrestler. He playfully teases him about the scar on his face, but the latter remains unresponsive. After returning to the stable, Oze receives a present from his father, along with some pictures and other items. This makes him emotional, and he starts reminiscing about all the good times he spent with his family. Later that day, the manager of Ensho's stable invites Oze and Enga to a bar in an attempt to reconcile their differences. There, a hostess named Nanami approaches Oze, and the two quickly establish a friendly connection. As the evening unfolds, Oze surprises everyone with his impressive singing voice, earning praise from everyone present there. Just wait until Enya shows up. In contrast, Enga embarrasses himself when he decides to become the center of attention. In a fit of rage, he strikes Oze with a microphone, sparking a fight between them and abruptly ending the party. Afterward, Oze returns to the stable, only to discover that the wrestlers have discarded his father's gift in the trash. He tries to salvage what is left, but everything appears to have been destroyed. The next morning, an irate Oze carefully observes the wrestlers as they practice their moves. He believes that he can emulate them easily. So, in order to test it, he approaches Enga and challenges him to a fight. The latter promptly agrees, and so the match begins. Oze, who's filled with confidence, uses various tactics and comes close to pushing his opponent out of bounds. However, at the last moment, Enga manages to counterattack and claim victory. Later on, Oze receives a text message from the bar hostess Nanami, inviting him to hang out. Sumo do get the babies. Babes, Jesus. Delighted, he agrees, and they spend the remainder of the day together, enjoying meals, playing games, and exploring streets. As the day draws to a close, she drops him off at the stable, promising to meet soon. This makes Oze very happy, believing that he has finally found the love of his life. However, his joy is short-lived when he receives a phone call from the hospital, informing him of his father's traffic accident. Panicked, he immediately rushes to the hospital and discovers his old man lying unconscious. Later that night, we see Oze at a park, watching video footage of his earlier defeat by Enga. After repeatedly analyzing the footage, he gets to know that Enga gained the upper hand by utilizing the Shiko exercise. This finally makes him realize that he has to master the exercise as well. So, he starts practicing relentlessly. Motivated by thoughts of his hospitalized father, he pushes himself even more. After a while, Shizuuchi approaches him and offers a canned drink, which Oze accepts before departing. The scene then shifts to Koku's stable, where Kunishima and her boss observe the training of other wrestlers. They witness Shizuuchi overpowering his opponent effortlessly by using his non-dominant hand. Koku's stable considers Shizuuchi to be a true monster who is almost invincible. Meanwhile, at Ensho's stable, a senior wrestler named Enya repeatedly defeats Oze in practice matches, causing him immense frustration. Enya points out that Oze's poor Shiko skill is the main reason for his failures. According to him, Oze's sumo wrestling is like scattered dots, and he needs to develop his Shiko technique to connect those dots. Stick to sumo and singing, Enya. Analogies are not your thing. In the afternoon, Oze encounters Shizuuchi in the same park, gazing at a tree as usual. Oze offers him a cigarette, but Shizuuchi coughs as he is not accustomed to smoking. For some reason, this makes Oze burst into laughter. On his way back to the stable, a guy asks him to deliver a gift to Enga, as he appears to have a crush on him. However, instead of delivering the package, Oze opens it himself. To his surprise, he finds a love letter and a humorous pair of underpants inside. This again makes him chuckle like a maniac. Something like that. Moments later, Oze receives a distressing call from his mother, asking for 500,000 yen for his father's treatment. He doesn't have that kind of money, so he devises a peculiar plan to earn it. Oze takes fetishized photos of Enga's body and secretly records a video of him in the shower. Time to make him an OnlyFans page. He then sells it to the weirdo from earlier in exchange for a lot of money. Following this, Oze decides to transfer the money to his mother, but at the same time, he receives a call from Nanami, who invites him to go out. So he cancels the transaction and agrees to meet her. They then go to a sushi restaurant, which triggers Oze's memories of his parents, who used to own a similar cafe. After having their dinner together, they walk back home. On their way, they come across two Turkish men who are selling ancient stone necklaces. When Nanami expresses interest in getting one, Oze reluctantly purchases it for her. Unfortunately, the men notice the large sum of cash in his wallet and become greedy. They then pretend to take a picture with Oze and snatch his wallet while he is distracted. By the time Oze realizes what has happened, the men have already fled the scene. This frustrates him immensely, and he regrets not sending the money for his father's treatment. Later, he transfers all of his remaining savings, a total of 250,000 yen, to his mother's account, instructing her to use it solely for his father's medical expenses. We know she won't, though. On the other hand, Nanami, who arrives home, pulls out Oze's wallet from her purse, revealing that she has been plotting against him from the beginning. Back at the stable, Ensho angrily confronts Oze as Enga's photos have gone viral all over the internet. Surprisingly, Enga is not upset, but rather disappointed that Oze didn't make him appear cooler in the photos. In the aftermath of all these events, Oze is back to his training, pushing himself to the limit in the wrestling ring and striving to connect the so-called dots, whatever the hell that meant. He also starts practicing alone in the park in hopes of being a better fighter. One day, Oze requests a chance to fight Enga, and to his delight, he finally manages to defeat him for the first time. In recognition of his achievement, Ensho bestows upon him a ring name, Enno. Creative? No. Exciting, I guess. In the next scene, we see Oze, who has made it to the tournament, but his behavior remains unchanged. He lies down and starts smoking inside the waiting area. Unexpectedly, Shimizu appears and greets him. It turns out that Shimizu now works as an usher for the tournaments, as it is his only chance to stay close to sumo wrestling, something that he's always been very passionate about. Kunishima also attends the tournament and eagerly awaits Oze's match. It turns out that Oze will be facing off against Inokoshi, a wrestler from a different stable. Oze confidently steps into the ring, disregarding the tradition of bowing to the referee and showing disrespect towards the rules of sumo. After a while, the fight commences and the two wrestlers match each other stride for stride, but in the end, it is Oze who emerges victorious, much to the dismay of the rivals. He then performs some erratic celebratory moves and proudly declares his affiliation with the Ensho stable. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.